Welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to another edition of the podcast. I'm your host, Bruce Outridge, and today we're going to be talking about driver misclassification, driver Inc., as it's known in the industry. This is a serious problem that affects everybody, and it affects all aspects of the industry, not just drivers and taxes, but safety as well. Before we get into that, though, let me tell you a little bit about a place that does not participate in driver misclassification, and that is Bison Transport. And you know, they're looking for owner-operators, true owner-operators. They're also always looking for good truck drivers. If that's you, then check out bisondriving.com for all the opportunities. They've got their Right to Decide program, and they have terminals all across North America. So they are looking for somebody who wants to be part of a great team, has a good attitude towards trucking, and wants to do things properly. If you're an owner-operator, they've got a great system for you. They can help you with fuel costs, maintenance costs, tires, and more. So check them out. They've got great support for all their drivers and owner-operators. So go to bisondriving.com. All right, let's get into today's episode.
By far my favorite station.
You're the best. Oh, yeah.
I love you guys.
All right, so we are going to be talking about driver misclassification today, and as you know, this is a growing problem, and not just in our industry, but industries across North America. They're having the same issue in a lot of other industries. They call it the gig economy. I don't really like that term because, well, everybody's in the gig economy if you're in business, but driver misclassification is different. Driver misclassification harms drivers, taxpayers, and legitimate carriers that are trying to do things right. And we've seen that correlation go right down into safety as well. So it started as, hey, you're just not paying your taxes. Someone's getting away without paying it. But really what it comes down to is safety at the end of the day. So what is misclassification? Well, basically it's wage theft. That's exactly what's happening, because what happens is a company will hire you on, and then they will ask you to incorporate yourself. So you go to a legitimate job interview. You think you're going to get hired as a driver. They hire you on, but then they say they want you to become an owner-operator. So they say incorporate yourself, which costs a few $100s. If you have nothing to go in, you incorporate yourself and you assume that you're driving as an owner-operator. They say, hey, you can write off this, you can write off that, but really you have no tools. You have nothing to write off. You're an employee. And if you listen to, you look at the legal definitions in Canada for an owner-operator, and even people that own their truck, there's a real gray area right now, and they're doing a lot of investigation and talk about, is an owner-operator, unless they have their own authority, are they really a true owner-operator? And this is going to cause a lot of problems for a lot of people depending on where it's going. It's happening in the States. California started this. Canada has started this. Why are companies so upset about this misclassification? What do they care if company XYZ is got incorporated drivers? Well, what happens? It turns into the rates. So if a company is bidding against another company doesn't have to pay taxes. They're not paying. Sometimes they're not even paying their drivers. Then they're bidding on lower jobs than the companies that are doing things properly and paying taxes and paying overhead and all that kind of stuff. And so the legitimate companies are losing out on freight. The bad companies are getting the freight, and then because they're not doing things like safety training, they're not taking care of their drivers, the roads are unsafe because those people are on there. And the people who are taking the time to make sure that employees are treated right, or making sure that the drivers are safe and making sure their equipment is well maintained, they're losing out because they have costs that this other company is not doing, and it's really causing a problem. So it's attractive to some carriers who are trying to do things underneath because it's a way of getting away without paying taxes for their employees, and that's a lot of money. So they say, hey, you know what? We're not going to pay taxes, and you're incorporated. The driver thinks it's attractive to them because it seems like they're making more money until they have to go pay their taxes, and then they're not. And then for a lot of drivers, it turns out bad because they actually sometimes don't get paid. We've heard horror stories where drivers have been owed money for months and months and months. And if you have any little incident, the driver says, sorry, you're an owner-operator, so we don't have to pay you. And drivers are losing. And this happens to immigrants a lot. It's happening to immigrants because they don't understand the Canadian law system and how things work. So what are you an employee or an independent contractor? So here's some of the things that you have to work. And I would suggest that you go to canada.ca to check out the legal definitions in Canada for what an independent contractor versus an employee and what that means. But really, they look at control of the equipment, who dispatches, who determines the schedules, when you come to work, those kind of things. Who's taking all the risk if something happens? Who has to pay for all of that stuff? This is all what's in. So if you look at, so an employee driver, if you're an employee, the trucking company has the equipment. The trucking company will tell you when you go to work. They'll even tell you which schedule you're running on as far as your hours of service. They will dispatch you and determine which loads you take. And if something happens, they have to accept all the risk. So you are an employee of that. So you will be taking payroll taxes off, and you just go to work and do your thing. They provide all the fuel and all that kind of stuff for you. If you're an independent contractor, and really the way it's saying now is with your own authority, then you own the truck. You have to go and find the freight. You can work when you want. You have to maintain your vehicle, and you accept all the risk, paying insurance and all that kind of stuff if something happens. So if you have the control and you can go to this company one day and another company the next day, then you are a true owner-operator and you are considered an independent contractor. If you cannot take your truck and go to another company, right now, there's what we call leased on owner operators, which is probably a majority of the industry. And then we have others that own their own authority. And I think there's going to be a mix-up coming up in the next year or so, because I know that a lot of people in the workplace inspections for Canada are looking to that a lot. Why are immigrants targeted into this? Well, one of the reasons that immigrants are targeted into this kind of action is because they don't know the employment rights. They don't understand how works in Canada. If you come from other countries, a lot of people who come in from other countries are used to being self-employed. They want to be, they own shops or whatever at home. They're used to being self-employed. That's the kind of lifestyle they want, but it doesn't come without the other side. You do have to pay your taxes and do all that kind of thing. So there's a lack of awareness for employment rights, which is why a lot of people, and a lot of times it's tied into immigration. So you really have to watch yourself, because if you're approached in another country to immigrate and, X number of dollars and all that kind of stuff, and you don't have the money, that's how this kind of starts a lot of the times. And then, of course, immigrants are not the ones who are going to go to the Canada Labor Board and say, hey, I haven't been treated right, because they're just trying to be quiet. A lot of the political people say, oh, immigrants are out there making trouble. No, they're not. They just want to stay under the radar. They just want to do their thing. They don't want any trouble. They want to kind of get their status, whatever it is. So a lot of them are not going to report a carrier that's not doing things right. They're not going to complain about a truck that's breaking down, because they don't know that that's not the way that everything is in across North America. And so they get caught into this, and then they pay the consequences. I have a short interview I did with Jack Lochan. Now, Jack owns a truck driving school called Alpine Truck Driving School, and I was talking to him, and he's actually an immigrant as well. And we're not talking necessarily about Driver Inc. in this one, but just the importance of safe driving for somebody coming into the industry.
Whoever is driving that truck or car or bus or whatever the vehicle is, the driver is responsible for everybody.
Right.
All the passengers inside.
Right.
And he got to drive that truck 100%.
Right.
And focus 100%.
Right.
And if he don't focus 100% and cause an accident, he kills everybody.
That's right. So we've seen some of that going on, right?
That's why I say I have the heartbeat.
Yeah.
The heart is beating, so if the heart stop beat, you're dead.
Yeah.
And the person who's behind the wheel is responsible for everything with him and around him on the road and the highway.
Okay.
So he has to focus, be alert, and be ready for any emergency.
Yeah.
Be sure to share the podcast on your favorite social media channels.
All right, so that was Jack, and he's totally right in what he says. He's talking about the heartbeat, you, the driver, being the center. What you do, our trucks. I go to the Caribbean a lot. I travel a lot there, and the trucks down there are little trucks. Yeah, they'll still cause damage, but they're not like a B-train tractor trailer or a semi-trailer or trailer with, our trucks up here are so much bigger, so much heavier, travel so much faster, and our roads are so more congested that it doesn't take much to really cause problems on a road and have people, hopefully not, but you could really hurt or kill somebody. And so this is what Jack was just talking about in that interview. So if you are an immigrant coming to this country, please note that we welcome you as an immigrant. We want you to come here and do what you do. But you really need to know exactly what's going on as far as employment law, employment benefits. It is different between the United States and Canada. So just because we're joined and just because trucks travel back and forth doesn't mean that you can just kind of go on with any company and not worry about the employment laws. You really have to know about the employment laws about where you are, the kind of company you're working with. I tell people all the time, if you get into a bad company early on in your career, you can really kill your career. This happened in Humboldt. How many of you remember the Humboldt incident? Poor driver from India, engineering student, him and his wife just making a new world here, got a job with a unscrupulous carrier out west. 2 weeks on the job, he's driving equipment that he's not familiar with, goes through a stop sign, hits a busload of hockey players on their way to a tournament, kills 16 of the 30 people on board, goes to jail for 8 years, and is now being sent back to India. And he was a nice guy, owned his mistake, made a lot of mistakes, and his carrier walked away and got nothing. And this poor gentleman got 8 years and got sent back. That is, my friends, not what you want to do as far as getting involved in the trucking industry. That's not the kind of career or life you came to Canada to make. So take the time to understand and research and know what you're getting into. Trucking industry is a very viable career. I've been in it my whole life, but it is something that you have to really take seriously. Now, some of the real costs to being in this, what we call misclassification or driver Inc., is you're not protected. You don't have any Canada pension plan. You don't have any unemployment insurance. You don't have any workplace safety insurance board information, WSIB we call it. You don't have any benefits. If the company decides they don't want to pay you, they don't have to pay you and you're out of money. The driver is usually stuck paying for things that shouldn't even be paying for, things like fuel, insurance, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of surprises in tax. The Canada Revenue Agency is doing a lot of audits right now. And a lot of times they don't catch the carrier until they start auditing the drivers, because when you audit the drivers is when you find out how the carrier has been treating them, and then you can find more drivers like that. So there's a lot of stuff going on. The carriers are not doing business properly. They're undercutting people. They're not playing with a level playing field, and this is why everybody's really upset about it in the industry. So why has it been going on for so long? Well, you know what? There's not enough people in the industry. There's not enough people in the enforcement side to catch all of these players. The fines have not been enough. People pay the fines and they go on. There's been a whole lot of, and it's very hard to tell which companies are doing what. So the responsibility seems to be pushed onto the drivers to say no. We're seeing it in the industry where a lot of drivers come into a job fair or something and are asking outright, does that company hire driver Inc. drivers? And if the company says yes, then then you know that they're probably not doing things properly. So proper companies are not hiring that way. They will not put themselves. They've worked too hard to get to where they are to let it go through that. And there's a lot of repeat offenders. So people, the fines have not been enough to where it's very easy to shut down a company and restart it. We saw that with Humboldt. We've seen that a number of times where you can kind of re-register a company and then you go up. So do your homework when you're looking for a carrier. Make sure you understand exactly what's going on. Misclassification is taking our industry to the bottom. It is in other industries as well, maybe not as well presented or as well known. But you really need to take a look at that and make sure you understand what's going on. So in our next episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about the LMIA program and how that's going to work. Before we go, though, let me tell you a little bit about Chrome Supply Warehouse. If you're looking to get your truck made the best it can be, then Chrome Supply Warehouse is where you should go. They've got all kinds of parts, 8,000 square feet of parts at their place in Belleville, Ontario. You can order online at chromesupplywarehouse.com, and they've got custom parts, interior parts, exterior parts, whatever you need. So go check them out at chromesupplywarehouse.com. And if you need your taxes done, RS2000 Tax Services is who you should be looking at. They work in Ontario, Canada. They help owner-operators. They specialize in the trucking and farming industries. If that's you, then go check out rs2000tax.com and make sure that you tell them that we sent you. All right, my friends, we will talk to you later. Join us for part 3 in the next episode, and we'll stay safe out there on the road. Bye for now.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.